Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Why this beat so crazy?
We will make America proud again. When you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
This is good. We just keep winning the hell with MSNBC, the fake news media. But oh boy, this is good. This is good.
Look, you understand very clearly what it means when the National Guard comes into your state, what it means when it comes in to a community. Donald Trump essentially said today that, you know what, not only was he not happy that he wasn't being thanked for this, he suggested that there are people who want a dictator. He says, I'm not a dictator. I'm being accused of being a dictator. But some people may want someone to come in and take control. So I wonder how you see this and what the options are for governors in this case.
Well, I mean, I have to tell you, I have such a different take than what we've just heard. They talk about a manufactured crisis. Have you been in Chicago? Have you been in Baltimore? Look, my daughter went to school in Chicago. I remember the day she graduated, there were shootings and killings right outside of her building. And in Baltimore, I have friends that go down to Johns Hopkins, get treated for medical conditions. I mean, they are nervous about ever going there. There are parts of Baltimore that he tells me he wouldn't go into. And this is not some right-wing person. This is somebody who wants to be able to go into some of our great cities and be able to be safe. Now, I do think it's important that if you're going to do this, you've got to define the mission. You've got to talk about your authority. And I think one of the earlier guest was saying that, you know, well, maybe there's narrow ways to do it. I agree with that. But that just then says that there are ways to do it. And if I had had a crisis in Cleveland, we thought we were going to have riots, or in Columbus or whatever, I would never have put, you know, the fact that, well, I'm governor. So I would want to work with other people who wanted to help me. And look, what's been happening in Chicago has been terrible.
He's going off script. Off script. MSNBC, the producer, like, and threw his headphones on the floor. He'd have went off script. They say President Trump is right. You're supposed to stay on script, sir. No. You're supposed to stay on script. President Trump is wrong. He's the big bad orange man. He's a dictator. The threat to democracy. Our democracy under attack. Unconstitutional. Our sweet cinnamon sugar democracy. He's going off script. Get it, cut it.
The crime rate is high. The gang problem is real. I tried to get Arnie.
Look at all their faces. And then look, she made a smirk. Like, look, did y'all see the smirk? Look at the smirk that lady made.
Crime rate is high. The gang problem is real. I tried to get.
Look at every last one of them. Whoa! Oh man, I feel like Ric Flair. Yeah. The truth hurts. The truth hurts. The truth hurts. And I hate to break it to you, majority of America, tons of Americans love what President Trump is doing, what he's already done, and they're clapping their hands right now. Hey.
Arnie Duncan, the former education secretary under Obama, to run for mayor. He's out there trying to work to get, you know, to deal with the gang problem. He didn't want to do it, but I think Chicago is a jewel of America. We just cannot let lawlessness and fear dominate these cities. So, yeah, I think we need to know what the mission is. I think we need to know what the authority is. I think we need to know what the length is. But the idea that these cities are somehow fine, I think you're
I don't think anybody.
whistling.
I mean, listen.
I manufacturing crisis. This is a manufactured crisis. No, it's.
And you see, they're having like a whole scuffle back in the production team. I don't know if y'all can hear it. And she looked off. Yeah, we know. Yeah, he done went off script. Yeah, this happens when they go off script and the truth gets admitted live on television. Yeah.
It's not. It is a crisis. There are
Go ahead,
people
Basil.
at
You're
risk
dying
in
to
these
jump in
cities.
here.
You just can't make this up.
In the president's head, and I wish he would spend some time in Chicago so that he could see what a lovely city we have.
Governor, quick follow-up. What do you do if the National Guard is activated and comes here?
If Black Lives Matter, how come in the past 11 days, since President Trump has federalized the D.C. Metro Police, no black individual has been unalived? I'm going to say that again. How come in the past 11 days, no black person has been unalived in D.C. since President Trump has taken over the D.C. Metro Police? There's a stat that says in the past 7 years in D.C. that black people are 112 times more likely to be unalived than white people. So if Black Lives Matter, the left, Democrats, progressives, how come you all are not celebrating that no black person has been unalived in the past 11 days in D.C. since Trump took over?
Steve Miller, please say a few words.
Thank you, sir. So just to, first of all, follow up on what the Vice President said, no police officer working in the city can remember a time in their lives when there has been no murders. You can work at the police department for 20 years, 30 years, your whole life. We've checked the records. No one can even find a record of being murder-free for as long as we've been murder-free under President Trump's.
The person again. And, I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street. Any street all over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in D.C., and that we have the right to do through federalization. Okay, let's go. Could I ask you to say exactly what this is?
Of course. So as you've consistently identified, sir, cashless bail policies are a key driver of the disorder we see on city streets all over America. Catch and release system allows criminals to keep going back out onto the street and reoffending. What this executive order does, it charges your attorney general with identifying jurisdictions all over the country that have cashless bail policies, and then it withholds or revokes federal funds and grants that are flowing to those jurisdictions to ensure that we're only supporting the people who have reasonable common sense policies around crime.
So what area does it cover?
Potentially anywhere that has a cashless bail policy. So some of the largest cities, some of the most left-wing states in America.
Almost all of them, right?
Illinois would be a great example of that, sir.
Oh, they have a great cashless bail. You don't even have to go to court sometimes. No, Illinois, I love that state. It's a great state, but it's run so badly by Pritzker. They threw him out of the family business and he becomes governor.
We've uncovered, in the process of uncovering, a massive scandal in Washington, D.C. with the doctoring of crime stats. And the Department of Justice, under the Attorney General, is leading the effort to uncover this. But when we ultimately share the results, it will stun you. The extent to which, even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. There's even accusations that murders and homicides were reported as accidents instead of murders. I mean, this is how severe the manipulation of the crime data has been in this city, and it will all be uncovered and it will all be brought to light. You know, I've had a chance to spend some time, as has everyone here, with the police officers in the city. Members of the public are going up to them and thanking them, just overflowing with gratitude, because for the first time in their lives, they can use the parks, they can walk on the streets. You have people who can walk freely at night without having to worry about being robbed or mugged. They're wearing their watches again. They're wearing jewelry again. They're carrying purses again. People had changed their whole lives in this city for fear of being murdered, mugged, and carjacked. It is a literal statement that President Trump has freed 700,000 people in this city who were living under the rule of criminals and thugs. And the last thing I'll say is that under the efforts of Terry, to my left and many here, what they found also is that the street criminals here in Washington, D.C. were doing business directly with the transnational criminal cartels, the foreign terrorist organizations. So not only was the city being run by these criminal thugs, but they were working with some of the most dangerous terrorist organizations on the planet to traffic weapons and drugs into this city. And what we are uncovering every day is shocking to us, and we look forward to sharing all the results with you. But President Trump, your leadership has uncovered some of the great public safety scandals of our life, and now because of you, people are safe and free for the first time ever in this city.
I want to ask you just in general, what historically has been Baltimore's greatest challenge? Why has Baltimore had a crime problem over the past 3-4 decades?
Well, I think oftentimes Baltimore's had a neglect problem. You know, and I think about Baltimore used to be a city of 920,000 people. Baltimore is now a city of just under 600,000. In fact, if you look at the past few decades, Baltimore's had one of the most precipitous drops in population that we have seen in our country, with the exception of Cleveland and Detroit.
But y'all know this is how they actually are, right?
Mr. President, welcome back to Maryland, sir. Welcome back to Maryland. It's good to see you. In person, too. Thank you, sir. Great to see you. Great to see you. And great to have you back here.
Good smiles and handshakes, huh?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we are very, very
Seems like a big fan to me.
anxious to be able to work closely with you. And I know the Key Bridge is something that we're specifically. It's going well. I mean, we spoke with Speaker Johnson.
And this Tiffany Cross lady, it's a disgrace how CNN continues to give her a platform after MSNBC fired her.
I think the reason why you may feel that way, Arthur, is because you maneuver in society with a certain privilege. The question is, who are these?
Well, hold on, what privilege? When I get on the subway, just tell me the privilege. When I'm dressed like this on the subway, I am a target. That is not a privilege. I'm a target. There's the guy who probably has a wallet and a watch.
Arthur, I want you to be
That's not
open.
privilege.
I want you to have a little bit of intellectual curiosity and be open and let me finish my point.
I'm very curious.
Thank you. I think when you ask the question, who is the militarized law enforcement there to protect, and who are they there to protect from? And so often in this country, particularly, that is how law enforcement swelled their ranks. There was so much violence against people of color, black people in particular in this country, that they said it's okay to beat a black person, to murder a black person, but you gotta be wearing a badge when you do it.
Who are the victims?
Do you want to listen, or do you can't talk and listen at the same time?
Well,
let me just tell you. It doesn't sound like it. My point to you is, I am telling you on the front lines what is happening. And there are militarized police force going in harassing longtime law-abiding citizens of Washington, D.C. And so when we, who are probably a little more familiar with American history perhaps than you, look at the military turning the police force on its own people, we remember the examples like Tulsa, when law enforcement dropped bombs on its own community. We know what it is like to have people.
From that, though.
We are not so far. We are not so far from that. We are not so. We are actually not so.
So that just brings us to this right here. You know, this is a disgrace, hard to watch, and as you know, MSNBC made a lot of headlines with this a couple of hours ago. Everybody's been posting it, resharing it, talking about it. You know, and you know this disgraceful mayor. I think they ought to walk out in handcuffs. Frohawk Mohawk daddy. I know, you know, approval rating not even past 10%. All-time low, has the worst mayor approval rating in U.S. history. Yeah, check this out.
I'm curious, would you also like to get federal funding to help put 5,000 more cops on the street in Chicago? Would that help drive down crime?
Well, look, policing by itself is not the full strategy.
No, I understand that. You've talked about the other things you want, and I said those are good and important programs, but I'm asking also, would 5,000 more police officers on the street in Chicago be helpful to go along with all of those social programs that a lot of cities are engaging in and having success with?
Well, look, here's the best way I can put it, Joe, is that in the 90s when I was in high school, we had 3,000 more police officers and we had 900 people being murdered every single year in Chicago. It's just not policing alone. Of course, we want more detectives.
I know it's not policing alone, but I know it's not policing alone. You've told me everything else you want. I'm curious, and this does come down to an ideological difference between people. Do you believe that the streets of Chicago would be safer if there were more uniformed police officers on the streets of Chicago?
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing. Look,
okay,
I'm not saying that
that's not the question I asked. My question is, and I just need a yes or a no, do you believe the streets of Chicago would be safer if you got all of those other extraordinary programs put back into place, which do have a history of being successful. If that's complemented by having 5,000 more cops on the streets of Chicago.
I don't believe that we should narrow it down to just police officers, Joe, is what I'm saying. That is an antiquated approach. I'm saying we've invested in detectives.
Mr. Mayor, are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with you that all of these other social programs are extraordinarily important. I just need a yes or a no, and then this will be the last time I ask.
Grossly incompetent.
If you get all of those other social programs that 800 million that New York City does, Los Angeles, other people do with great success, would an additional 5,000 cops on the streets in Chicago help complement those programs to make Chicago safer?
Look, we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported. I don't believe that just simply putting out an arbitrary number around police officers is the answer.